to Reformed Gangsters, and if you like my content, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. Also, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I got a lot of good content coming up. And my store, I got some good merch, and I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Today's January 1st, 2025. I hope everybody has a great new year. I'm looking forward to making some great content this year, taking it to the next level. So everybody stay tuned. It's January 1st. Okay, everybody. If anybody noticed my shirt, I'm repping Buffalo, the Buffalo Bills, all the way into the Super Bowl. I really don't want to see Kansas City go to another Super Bowl. I'm sick of them, and I'm sick of Taylor Swift. So let's hope Josh Allen does the job. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. I got some questions here that we're going to try to get to. This is from Francesco. Did Bobby Burriello know they were going to take part in polls at Sparks? I don't really know that. I would assume he did know, being that he was in on it. He was always with John. He was Junior's best man at his wedding, so I'm sure he had some intimate knowledge of it. There's another question from Nick. Did Baltimore have Mafia connections back then? Baltimore had Mafia connections. Cleveland had Mafia connections. Buffalo, all them cities had Mafia families, Mafia connections. At one time, the Mafia was coast to coast. Not anymore, but at one time, definitely. I actually had sit-downs. I actually had sit-downs with the underboss of Cleveland. So, yes. There was Mafia in other cities. There's one from TPM. Did mobsters ever go watch the ball drop at Times Square? Or is that a tourist thing? That's 100% tourist thing. It's funny because last night I was sitting with my daughter, waiting for the ball to drop. And they showed all them millions of people, 1 million people in Times Square. And I told my daughter, there's not one New Yorker in that whole crowd. Like people from New Yorkers, real New Yorkers that born and raised in New York, do not go to Times Square on New Year's Eve. I never, ever was in the borough of Manhattan on New Year's Eve, ever, or anybody I know was ever in the borough of Manhattan on New Year's Eve. Strictly a tourist thing. My own man used to call it amateur night. Here's another one from Trucker's Doghouse. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. You talked about scores. Did you ever meet Ronnie, the limo driver from Howard Stern? No, I never met him, but I know a person I used to do business with. We're friends with them, worked on the Howard Stern show for many years, but I never personally met him. Here's one from America. Are the steaks really good at Sparks? Well, where are a few top steakhouses? The steaks are good at Sparks, but my favorite still is Peter Luger's in Williamsburg. Nothing tops Peter Luger's. I would say Peter Luger's. Sparks is very good. It's up there, but it's not Peter Luger's, without a doubt. Here's one from Joe Blow, 2183. How was the Sylvie Tester killing justified to the commission? I know I'm 2 years too late. Nicky Scarpa was, he was a cold-blooded murderer. That was a horrible killing. That was that was all ego and paranoia. I don't know why the commission would okay that. I guess Nicky had a lot of juice. If they even did okay it, who knows? Here's another one. Ace. Did you know Spiro the Greek? I didn't know Spiro, but I knew of him, and I knew people that knew him, and I had business dealings with people that were around him. So yeah, I heard of him. He was a very well-known person. Wellness 1994. Hey, Anthony, I got a question. Whatever happened to Carlo Gambino's son, Carlo Jr.? The only Gambino son I knew was Tommy. I had dealings with him. I talked about a sit-down I had with him, with Angelo Quack and Tony Lee. I actually lost the decision, but his other two sons I didn't know. I only knew Tommy. Here's one from Rick. I get you're on the third strike, but is it possible and likely that they didn't want you to take the deal because it would seriously hurt your co-defendant's chances at trial? That's about me taking a plea on my last case. They didn't want me to take a plea because they were gonna throw me under the bus. That's why, and of course it would have hurt my co-defendants because they would have had nobody to blame. So yeah, definitely. Here's one. Anthony, did you ever see John Gotti Sr. verbally abuse any of the sons of Carlo Gambino? If so, why would he do so? I never personally saw him do that, but I heard he did from other people. I never personally witnessed it, but I did witness him abuse other people. He was very verbally abusive to some people, especially to Willie Boy Johnson, who later on we found out was a confidential informant named Wahoo. He used to really abuse him, like telling him he was going to chop him up and like bad. He used to abuse Willie Boy bad. I'm not justifying what Willie Boy did, but he used to really abuse him bad. Big time that I witnessed. Let's see what else we got here. Can you discuss Tommy Desimone's relationship to the West Coast mob? Tommy used to go out to the West Coast a lot. He used to go to Vegas a lot to meet people. I don't know about his relationships with people out there, but I know he was doing business out there because he used to go out there a lot. He was even dating a movie star that lived out there. Oh my God, I forgot her name. He used to carry the picture of her and him in his top pocket and show it to everybody. Oh my God, I got a brain lock. I forgot her name. She was blonde, beautiful. Not Connie Stevens. I'll think of it. I'll probably remember it at 3 o'clock in the morning and it'll wake me up out of my sleep. But I'll pass that on at a later date. But he did go out to the West Coast quite often. How about some stories on mob daughters and what they got up to and the guys that were killed for fooling around with them? That's guys that go out with mob daughters, that's playing with fire. That's a slippery slope. I know, mob daughters. I know guys around them that were killed, even in my own family, unfortunately. I never dated a mob guy's daughter, even though my own man was a made member. I had opportunities to, and as bad as I may have been, I passed on them. But I was befriended a couple of them and looked out for them. But people have lost their lives for dating mob guys' daughters, without a doubt. Hey, Anthony, I have a question. Did people that ran nightclubs in New York City or Long Island have to pay the mob? At one time, every nightclub was hooked up with the mob. The mob ran the show, all the discos, all the nightclubs, without a doubt. Everybody, everything. I mean, even the gay clubs, all the gay clubs, Matty the Horse had them locked down in Manhattan. The Ritz, where I hung out with, Stanley London, was with Matty the Horse. Everybody, all the clubs back then were hooked up. I mean, otherwise, yeah, shook down without a doubt. Later on, not so much. Like when the Limelight opened and them kind of clubs, like I don't know any mob guys that were in there or the tunnel, but a lot of 90% of them. Here's one. Also, what happened to Tommy's brother, Skinny Bobby? After everyone got pinched for Joe Dogg's turning a form, it seems like he falls out of the picture and just disappears. He was my old man's co-defendant. He was on the case with Joe Dogs, my father, Tommy A, Sally Al, Jerry Alessino, Junior Abadando. They were all on that case. That's a good question. I don't know what happened to him. He did that bid, and he went to prison, and I have really never seen him again after that. After he got out of prison, I lost contact with him in Florida. My old man got shipped out. He went to Springfield, Missouri. He got indicted after them. He went to trial without them. They took pleas. I think he got an 8-year plea, Bobby, but he was a really good guy. I always liked him. I spent a lot of time with him. He was a very tight guy with my old man, but I lost contact with him after he got out of prison. Here's one from Angel Designs. Congratulations, Anthony. Glad to be a part of this. I'm in the firearms industry, so naturally I like to know what kind of arms you own. The only gun I ever owned was a 38 stub nose, which was an illegal firearm back in the day. In New York City back then, it was mandatory jail time if you got caught with an illegal firearm. But I always had a 38 stashed somewhere. I never carried a gun on me. Very, very rarely did I carry a gun on me. But I always had a 38, Smith & Wesson 38. I didn't like automatics. I never trusted automatics. I always liked revolvers. For some reason, just a personal thing of mine. So let's see what else we got here. What am I planning in February? Okay. I have a lot of things coming up in February. I'll be in New York. I'll be at the Stone Pony on February 9th, I believe, or February 8th. I'm sorry, February 8th at a charity event. I'll be in, and then don't forget, I'll be in Vegas on January 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st. I'll be at the Mob Museum. If anybody's in that area and wants to come out, tickets are still on sale, so check it out. Okay. They're coming in now. Here's one from Vincent. Do you remember a guy, Jimmy Santo? He was with the Roberts Lounge crew. Did you have any memory? Yeah, I know him. I knew him. I never did any business with him, but I knew everybody in that crew. I used to go to Roberts Lounge. Roberts Lounge had an after-hour club downstairs. It was represented a little bit in the movie where Spider got shot. That was supposed to take place underneath Roberts Lounge, and that was an after-hour club for a while. And I used to spend some time. I spent a few mornings in there, I should say. Yeah. Here's one from Chris. Did you get your kids involved in the life, or did you tell to do something? No, I never got my son involved in the life. I refused to do that. My son's a hardworking kid. He works very hard. He's a good kid. And no, I would never lead him down the path I was led down. Never. Here's one from Mojo. What year and for what reason John bricked up the whole facade of the Ravenite? He bricked it up pretty much right after he took over the club. Pretty much right after he actually made Joe the Cat brick it up, because Joe the Cat owned the building, and he used to abuse Joe the Cat. You want to talk about people that John abused? Joe the Cat was one of them, unfortunately, and I liked Joe the Cat. He was a good guy. I felt sorry for Joe the Cat, but for some reason, John didn't like him. John had a bug up his ass about Joe the Cat. I think he felt Joe the Cat had millions of dollars and he wasn't kicking in enough, and he took advantage of his friendship with Arnel Della Croce. That's just my personal opinion of it. But I worked for Joe the Cat for many years. He was a nice guy. I always liked him. He always treated me well. But they bricked it up pretty much right after John became the boss and took over the club. He bricked it up. So yeah, that's so nobody could see in, because when John became the boss, and there was a lot of tourism, people were coming in looking at people. He was like under the spotlight. Ben Coleman, Happy New Year to you and all the best in 25. Love watching your content. Very interesting. Thank you, Ben, and Happy New Year to you. I appreciate it. That's the same question about Bobby Burriello. Did my pop know Rudy Santabello? I don't know. He probably did. He knew everybody. Jeff Wilson, Happy New Year. My birthday is February is Friday, 45 and 13 years clean. Congratulations. Congratulations. I'm coming up on 36 years clean. I'll have 36 years in, God willing, 11 more days on January 12th. I'll be clean and sober 36 years. It's a miracle. It's a miracle, especially on New Year's Day. Like, if this was the old days, if this was 40 years ago, like, oh my God, we would still be out at it. You know what I mean? I would be out. New Year's Eve would last 3-4 days. You know what I mean? It was crazy. It's a miracle that we're still all alive. I was talking about that this morning with a friend of mine that, when I had a New Year's, I had a New Year's Eve party in Lindenwood when I was married to my second wife and my daughter was born in 1994. I believe it was the New Year's of 1994. Out of everybody that was at that party, at that table, we were playing Continental, actually. Just 3 of us are left alive. Everybody at that table, unfortunately, has passed away. So, yeah, it's a blessing to be clean, a blessing. So this is one from Josh Berner. Can you please explain why Pat McDavid does that interview for 1, and then when you are 3 going to sit down, you, Michael and Sammy, Happy New Year. I don't know why Patrick Ben-David does that. I don't know why he hasn't interviewed me yet. He's interviewed everybody. I think I'm waiting for the call patiently. But I know Sammy's not happy with him anymore after that interview with John Jr. We'll see what the future holds. This is from BB. Was Andrew Donato really a carousal? Big time. Andrew was big time. Andrew's going to be out in Vegas with us. I'm looking forward to hooking up with him out there. Yeah, Andrew Donato was, one of the young guns that were with the Carazzo crew. Him, Mike and Nadu, a couple of them. Yeah, definitely. This is from Irons 11. Nick, hey Anthony, all the best in the new year. All the best to you. Good luck in the new year. This is from IH8. Everyone is sick of Taylor Swift. That's why I got a Buffalo shirt on. Everybody's definitely, I'm sick of her. I don't want to be mean, but I hope I see her cry after Kansas City loses in the championship to Buffalo, because I believe it's going to be Buffalo. I don't know. I don't think Baltimore's going to get in there for some reason. Every year they find a way to get knocked out. I think it's going to be Buffalo and KC in the AFC Championship game, and I'm hoping Buffalo finally gets there. I want to really see Buffalo and Minnesota get in, 2 teams that have been there before that have never won a Super Bowl. I would like to. That's my Super Bowl wish. It would be Minnesota Vikings and against the Buffalo Bills. That's my pick, or my wish. I hope I see that. Eric. Respect and blessings to you, Anthony. Best mob channel on YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. This is from Lindo. Happy New Year, Anthony, and everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful day and year. Same to you. Definitely. The Grossman Files. This is from the True. The mob worked with NYPD to try to catch Son of Sam. That's what I heard. We weren't happy that the Son of Sam was killing people, especially people, it's really never talked about, but the Son of Sam shot 2 people around the corner of a club called Eliphas. You can look it up. Eliphas was owned by Genie Gotti. It was his club, And I was in Eliphas on many Friday and Saturday nights, but I wasn't there that night. But that club, Eliphas, was owned by Genie Gotti. And it's crazy because after the son of Sam shot the two people around the corner in the car, they were in Eliphas and they went outside to do whatever they were going to do, and they got shot. The club closed because nobody would go there no more. And Genie used to make remarks, out of all the clubs in the city, this guy had to come by my club and shoot two people because the club went out of business. That's a little known fact, that Eliphas was owned by Genie Gotti. Check it out. Let's see what else we got here. Here's one, Anthony sending love from Buffalo. Definitely. What did Fat Andy think of Greg Scarpa? I understand he had to sit down with him wanting to kill your friend. Did he like Greg at all? You know, he respected Greg. He liked Greg. Nobody knew Greg was an informant. Greg was a gangster, a serial killer, really. He was a dangerous guy. And yeah, he wanted to kill my friend Sal. And my father had to sit down with him, and they straightened it out. And you know, we all came to an understanding that Sal had to live with. So yeah, but he didn't want to hurt my friend Sal. And they had to sit down over it. And my old man was very close to the Colombos. He was very close to the Persicos, to Ali Boy and Carmine. You know, he was very close with them throughout the years. From when, you know, he was in his 20s, he was very close with them. So he definitely had sit downs with Greg Scarpa. This is from Neil. Did you have a nice Xmas in the yes from the UK? Oh yes, Happy New Year, UK. Yes, I definitely had a great Christmas and I had a good New Year's. You know, it was very quiet New Year's, just my daughter and I. I went to work yesterday. I switched jobs. I no longer work in a detox. I work for an intensive outpatient program. I got out of the detox. It was just too much. 12-hour shifts were burning me out. You know, I may look good, but I am 71 years old. And so now I work at an IOP program for two people that are very good to me, that I know I worked for prior. I worked for them a few years ago at their treatment center. So I worked here last night. I got out at 11 o'clock and I shot right home. And I spent 12 o'clock with my daughter and, you know, called up people at midnight. Let's see what else we got here. It says here, Anthony, I know your previous videos, you said you weren't afraid of anyone, but was there any other Mafia guys that you thought I'd stay out of your way? You know, I wasn't afraid of anybody, but I wouldn't put myself in certain positions with some of them because they were dangerous and they caught delusions, especially like Tommy Desimone and Anthony Stabile later on in life, when they started like freebasing cocaine and killing like a lot of, you know, they did a lot of vicious things. You know, I told that story once before. Unfortunately, when I was using and I was freebasing cocaine, I was driving in a car with my brother, and Tommy Desimone and Anthony Stabile pulled up alongside me and told me to pull over. And I pulled over and I got out of the car and they asked me if I wanted to come with them to go get high, actually, to freebase cocaine, to cook it up with them. And I said no. You know, I wouldn't put myself in a position with two sicko murderers. And when I got back in the car, my brother asked me what they wanted, and I told him, because you said no. I said, I'm not going to go with them two crazy bastards. But they catch a delusion on me that daddy might find out I was getting high with them, and I'll disappear. What, are you kidding me? I'm not. I would never. You know, so I wasn't afraid of anybody, but I wouldn't. But certain positions I want to put myself in, like when I had the beef with Dom DeSala and the Genovese family, and the old timer Mo told me not to go on any sit downs without my old man being with me, even along with Tony Lee. That's a situation that I went right and got in touch with my old man in Florida, and he flew up to New York. So I took heed to that. So like, I wouldn't be afraid of anybody, but there's certain situations I wouldn't put myself into. So I hope that answers that question. let's see. This is from Larry. Anthony, if you put someone on record, do you need the approval of the associate, or do you just do it? Yeah, of course, you'd have a discussion with the associate. You want to be with us, and give him the rundown and what's going on, and then bring it to, the captain, and put him on record that he's with us. Yeah, you definitely have a conversation. You don't want to just randomly put people on record with you, because then you're responsible for them. Greasy. Do you keep in touch with your old cellie, Kevin Kelly? If so, how is he doing? It's crazy that this question just popped up, because yesterday I was watching a show on Prime about the Westies, and I have nothing but love for Kevin Kelly. I miss Kevin Kelly. I lived with him for years. I mean, I know I let him down. He's just a really good guy. He holds a special place in my heart, Kevin Kelly. And I wish I could be in touch with him. I really do. I wish I could be in touch with him, but unfortunately, I can't. So, when I cooperated, that was the end of me, being in touch with Kevin Kelly, unfortunately. But he's someone that I miss. He's someone that I miss, and he's someone that I wish could still be in my life. I have and I have a special place in my heart for Kevin Kelly. He's a really good guy. He's a tough guy. He's a man. In the federal prisons, he was a little short guy, but he commanded tons of respect. Tons of respect. Like, there's TVs on the poles. There's 4 TVs, and Kevin Kelly had a TV. You know what I mean? Like, from a certain time in the night to a certain time in the night, that TV was Kevin Kelly's, and we watched our shows on that TV, and nobody said boo. Kevin Kelly is a tough guy, good guy, and I miss Kevin. This is from Mindpsych. How powerful was your father in the Gambino family? My father was very powerful. Very powerful. He had one of the biggest crews that a wise guy could have. At one time, he had 70, 80 guys with him. Tons of respect, tons of power, feared, big time juice in the Gambino family, big time juice in the mob in general. James Jordan. Hey, James, what's going on, buddy? Happy New Year. Do you think John Gotti should have done a better job as a labor racketeer with all those union contracts and demo? Yeah, John Gotti could have done a job in a lot of things. A lot of guys could have done a better job, without doubt. John, yeah, definitely. This is from Eastie. Do you ask Sammy why he behind the back of Tato, and why Tato didn't resent Sammy for the hit on Paul? I don't even know if Tato was alive when they killed Paul. That's a good question. I got to ask Sammy. I'm trying to think. I got to ask Sammy that question. That's a good question. Here's one from CB Punisher. Ronnie One Arm got out of jail. He would make a great guest. Yeah, he's not going to come on my show. I wish. He's another guy like Kevin Kelly that has a special place in my heart. I love Ronnie. Me and Ronnie go back to, when we were kids. I love him. He always looked out for me, my family. I wish him nothing but the best. And he's another guy I would love to have contact with, but unfortunately, I can't. What was Fat Andy's favorite dish? My father ate anything. He loved it all. He would eat anything. He would eat anything. He was a scavenger. He loved probably pasta. I would say any kind of pasta was his favorite dish. Fresh Visions. Was Chin really crazy? Not at all. Crazy like a fox. That's what he was. Not crazy at all. This is from Francesco. So it's Colin on one of my Patreon members is asking if I ever knew Danny Green from Cleveland. No, I didn't know Danny Green, but I knew Peanuts, the underboss, and he's mentioned in the movie. You know, Peanuts was the underboss. I had to sit down with Peanuts actually in a McDonald's in Miami with Tony Lee, myself, and Peanuts. I had a run-in with Peanuts' son in a bar on North Bay Village called Happy's Lounge, which is still there. It's been there probably 100 years. I had an incident there with Peanuts' son. And even though Peanuts was an underboss, Tony Lee got permission from him and the Gambino family to sit down with an underboss because Tony Lee wasn't, on that level, and he would have needed a captain, at least a captain, to go with him. But he got permission to sit down with Peanuts, and Peanuts agreed to sit down with Tony Lee and myself, just the three of us. And I sat down with him. Actually, we met him for breakfast in a McDonald's. He used to go to this McDonald's and have breakfast. He liked McDonald's breakfast. What can I tell you? Yeah. So I didn't know Danny Green, but I did know Peanuts. Let's see what else do we got here. Was my father a Bills fan also? No. My father actually was a Green Bay Packer fan. He loved the Green Bay Packers because of Vince Lombardi, was Italian, of course, and he loved the Green Bay Packers back in the day. He wasn't really a big football fan. He really didn't watch much football, except if he made a bet, which wasn't often. He loved baseball, and he loved boxing. Those are the things that he would actually sit down and watch on TV. Or boxing matches and baseball games. But football, he was a Green Bay Packer fan. He hated Joe Namath. I don't know why. He used to abuse me all the time because I was a Joe Namath fan. And he liked Johnny Unitas. For some reason, he was a big Johnny Unitas fan back in the day. The Edge. Did you know Tommy from Bit? No, I didn't. Let's see what else I got here. All right, well, that's about it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank all my Patreon members for watching. I'll be back on again soon. I want to wish everybody again a happy New Year. Stay safe, be blessed, and I'll see you all soon.